All right, let's talk about something we all deal with, but maybe don't always think about those unwritten rules of workplace communication. The invisible stuff that dictates everything. We're going to decode those subtle signals that can make an office feel absolutely amazing or, super tense. I mean, you felt this before, right? You walk into a room and you can just feel the vibe. It hits you instantly. You know if it's going to be a good collaborative meeting or if everyone's walking on eggshells. It's this gut feeling. But what is that, really? Well, turns out that vibe actually has a name. It's not just some kind of office magic. Nope. Social scientists have a term for it. And once you get what it is, you're on your way to totally mastering your work environment. So what is it? It's called the communication climate. That's the official term. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like the emotional weather in your office. Is it sunny and collaborative, or is it kind of stormy and tense? It's all built on the quality of the relationships between people. Trust, respect, just general goodwill. It has less to do with what your job is and everything to do with how you feel about doing your job with the people around you. Okay, so if we know what this climate is, the big question is, how do we make it a good one? Well, a positive climate doesn't just happen by accident. It's something you have to build intentionally. And you build it one conversation at a time. So let's get into the foundation of how to do that. And here's the thing you gotta remember. Positive relationships, they don't just appear out of thin air. They have to be built and they have to be maintained. It takes effort, right? And the number one tool you have for doing all that building and maintaining, it's just the good old-fashioned conversation. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know how to have a conversation, but check this out. It can actually be broken down into 5 distinct stages. You've got the greeting, pretty standard. The introduction, where you set the topic. The exchange, that's the main part, right? But here's where it gets interesting. The review and the closing. How often do we actually stop and review, to make sure everyone's on the same page? That one little step can save you from so many headaches later on. And a good closing just wraps it all up nicely. If you can get this flow down, you're building a super strong foundation for any relationship. All right, so we've got the basic blueprint for a good conversation. Now, let's get practical. Let's load up your relationship toolkit with some real hands-on tools you can start using, like Tomorrow, to build stronger bonds at work. And the most powerful tool in that whole toolkit, you're not going to believe this, but it often comes down to changing just one single word. And here it is, the difference between you language and I language. Look at the you example. Your report is too sloppy. Oof. It's an accusation, right? It just points a finger and immediately makes the other person defensive. But now check out the I language on the right. I'm afraid the boss will get angry. See the difference? It's not about blaming them. It's about expressing your concern and framing it as a shared problem we need to solve together. It's a total game changer. So beyond just using I language, here are the other essentials for your toolkit. First, focus on solving the problem, not on controlling the person. Be honest, but also show that you genuinely care about them. And so important, treat everyone like an equal and actually listen with an open mind. It's not about winning an argument. It's about building a better outcome together. Okay, we've covered the basics. We've got our toolkit. Now let's level up and talk about applying these skills to maybe one of the most important parts of any modern workplace, navigating all of our differences. And this is the big mindset shift you have to make. It's so easy to see diversity as a challenge, right? Different backgrounds, different ways of thinking. It can seem like a hurdle. But what if we flipped that? What if we saw it as a huge opportunity? Because that's what it is, a massive source of new ideas and new perspectives that can make the whole team stronger. So how do we actually do that? Well, first off, just be curious. Make an effort to learn about where people are coming from. Second, and this is crucial, you have to consciously avoid that trap of thinking different means less than. And third, don't shy away from talking about your differences. The key is to do it constructively, with respect. And this quote from Ellis Coase just nails the problem, doesn't it? When it comes to tough topics, we either shout, where we're so stuck in our own view that nobody else can get a word in, or we whisper, we're so scared of offending someone that we just don't say anything. Neither of those works. The goal is to find that sweet spot in the middle, that productive, respectful conversation. Okay, let's wrap this all up. We've talked about the climate in your workplace, the anatomy of a good conversation, the tools you need, and the right mindset for diversity. Now, let's talk about how you take control. And if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. You have a choice.
You can be a thermometer or you can be a thermostat. A thermometer just reads the temperature in the room. It just reacts to the vibe. But a thermostat sets the temperature. You have the power to not just react to your office climate, but to actually change it for the better. You set the tone.
So, I'm going to leave you with a challenge, a question to think about. Looking ahead to tomorrow, what's one single conversation you can make better? One email, one meeting, one quick chat. What one conversation will you improve?